Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Dracula is part of the two-player Kosmos Line. This Kosmos line of games is legendary. There are some stinkers in there. Gone Fishing, I'm looking at you. But there are a lot of really good games, Lost Cities, in this Dracula game. So this Dracula game is one person be playing Van Helsing, the other person be playing Dracula. And you kind of have this deduction, bluffing aspect as you're going around. You can put roads out, which will make it very difficult for them to the opposite side to get to a location, but were you just bluffing, or do you really want them to go there? That's up to you to decide. You'll be flipping over cards and hoping the action cards you have in your hand can play. At the beginning of the game, you're kind of just flying blind. You don't really know, is this going to help me? Is this not going to help me? How's this going to ruin my game for me? But as you go on, certain cards are seen, and you're able to deduce what's there. And, okay, so Noah's there. He's swapping cards. What are they likely to do? That's all going to be playing into it. It's a little brilliant of a mechanism. The components are nice. The game looks good. I'm kind of surprised more people don't talk about this game. I think it's because it does have a little bit of a learning curve. It is unique, and it doesn't play in a lot of games. You won't be able to say, hey, Dracula, it's not like this. It's very unique. It's a deduction game. It's a bluffing game, all aspects with the cards on the table. Can you get hosed by the game? Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes the game, if you start out the game with most of your coffins out on the board, I think it's going to be a little bit of a stinker for you, whether you can hide them a little bit and progress through. But people also figure out, oh, there's 2 coffins already been picked. There's none on the board. I can look at your cards and maybe I can beat you that way. So you can kind of deduct what isn't out there and still win. Or say, okay, I'm pretty sure, I'm 90% sure that card is a 3-fighter. I don't want to mess with that too much. Let's go over here. So it's kind of fun back and forth and play that you're going to have in here. This is one of the two-player Cosmo lines I would definitely tell you to check out. If you're into deduction games, this could be a wonderful experience for you. It does only play 2 players, but there's a lot of back and forth, and both sides play a little bit differently because the cards aren't exactly the same, although they're very similar. So for me, Dracula is one I would recommend keeping. I would recommend playing this one, go back in time, track this one down, and find it if you like deduction and bluffing games. For me, it's a keeper. So here's Dracula, the Kosmos 2-player game. These games all came in the same size box. Here's the rulebook. We'll take a look at it in a few minutes. You're going to get a board, which looks like a city. It's actually a pretty cool board. It's all lit up, looks very nice. It's really just a place to put cards on the table, but it's very, very nice. I like it quite a bit. You're going to get some of these cards. There's going to be a deck for each side, and one side will have Van Helsing. The other side will have Dracula. They're pretty much the same cards, although the powers on some are a little bit different. There's going to be these cards that all have the same back, but one's going to be for Van Helsing and one will be for Dracula. Going to get some little wooden cubes, some walls that will pop up, and then these little wooden meeple things that are like our Dracula and Van Helsing. Very nice components. The insert obviously isn't made for this. It's for something else, but it came with the box and it does its job, I suppose. So here is the Kosmos 2-player rulebook. Pretty good. You got a picture of the components down here. And then, black with white text. Wow. Pretty easy to read, actually. It goes over the rules, it feels like, a couple times. And it'll tell you the rules, and then it'll tell you the same rules again, but in a different way. Which is kind of nice, I guess. A detailed example of a game turn, end of game. Quite a few ways. And they call it alternate game ending, which is really just a third way it can end. But you can see plenty of examples are going to be in italics here. The detailed explanation of all the cards in the game. Rulebook is very good. You probably need about maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes to sit down and read this, and you'll be up and playing in no time at all. So each player is going to take their little deck of cards. You can choose 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you'll be able to choose those. I'm just choosing random. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll take these cards, you'll shuffle them up, and you'll just put them face down randomly around the board, and then the board will kind of be seated and set up, hopefully with your cards randomized. Everybody will take their own deck of action cards, shuffle these up, and draw 5, which will be their starting hand. Then you just take your little deck of cards and you set this aside. Will also be in your hand. The walls will be set next to the board. Everybody will get their 4 energy cubes here. You will take Dracula, put him at the harbor, and Van Helsing will start out at the carriage here with the horse. So on your turn, you can pretty much move as many spaces as you want. You're going to have 5 cards in your hand. So if I had these 5 cards, the maximum I can move is 5. I don't have to play what card yet. I can move. Now, when you move, you could keep moving and not look at a card, etc. Or you can flip over the card. So let's say we stopped here, and this card is mine. If it's my own card, I can flip it back down, don't have to do anything, and I can continue to move. If I stop here, and it is one of their cards, say it's this guy right here, I will do a fight. Now, I moved 2 spaces, so I have to play something with at least 2. So I could not play this one because it only has a movement of 1. I could play this card, or my 3s, or my 5s. Now, I probably want to play this 3 card, even though I only moved 2, because it's going to be 2 power to fight. This has a 1 power to fight, so I would be able to defeat that. If I defeat it, I take this off, and then I would choose one of my cards, and I could put my card face down here. If I tied it, nothing would happen. This card would stay on the board, and if I lost, this would stay on the board, and I would lose one of my cubes. If I lose all 4 of my cubes, I lose the game. Also on these cards, I'll have like a color here. That's a wall. So in the beginning of the game, none of the walls start on the board. I played the yellow one, so I could put this one out. I can put anywhere on the board. If it's already on the board, I can move it. And this is just good. If I put it here, it just means somebody can't move through the wall. Now I have to go around. It's kind of your way to like bluff and try to like prevent being easy to move where you don't want them to move. What Van Helsing is trying to do is find 5 of these coffin cards. They might not all be on the board, maybe they will be, etc. like that. Dracula is trying to find all of the victims, and he wants to get all 5 victims for the game ends. So the game can end this way also. Now, if you have, let's say you have 3 of these coffins on the side of the board, and I'm able to look at the hand, and I realize that he has 2 of these hands, so the 5, and I can prove there's none on the board, then the game will end, and I would be able to win. There's also these. There's one for Van Helsing that is the cross, and you have the amulet here. If you turn this over and it's not your color, so if Van Helsing flipped this one over, he would also lose one of his energy cubes. So basically the game, it's pretty standard. You're going to be moving around. You can look at these cards, and then you kind of, that's my card. I can keep moving, or I can stop. I go here, it's him, and now I have to fight. But the whole thing is about bluffing and not knowing exactly where everything is. So let's say I moved here. I could take, it's my card. I don't want a victim out there for whatever reason. But since it's my card, I can take it off. Maybe I put a fighter there and I trick him. Or maybe I pretend like I took it off and I put the victim back there so he doesn't really know what's there. Or let's say originally it was a fighter and I took it off and I'm putting a new card on. Well, he's never going to guess I'm going to put a victim back out, right? So maybe he'll stay away from that, etc. So that might be something I would do. So it's all about bluffing and deduction and trying to find out what you can do, and it's a race to win. And that's how you play Dracula. Who should buy this game? If you like the Dracula theme, it's got really cool how Van Helsing is going against Dracula. It's got deduction and bluffing, if those are things that interest you. This one only plays 2 players. That's going to narrow the market just a tad, but it's part of a great 2-player line of games. And I think that this one is really going to be one of those that's a little bit esoteric, that you're going to have to get into a little bit. It's going to not play like anything else. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a gateway game. Somebody who can kind of willing to put a little bit of time into it. Now, this is not a war game. I can put that much time into it. But if you've never played games before, get through a game, try it again, and kind of go from there. You gamers, you probably pick this up a lot quicker. It's really just moving around, flipping cards, and using the deduction and the bluffing will be another aspect of the game. For me, it's a keeper. I had a lot of fun with this one. Check out Dracula.